There is a reason you're here right now, in this exact moment, reading these words. Not by chance, not by accident. Something inside you has been calling out, perhaps silently, perhaps desperately, for an answer that the world has kept hidden from you. You've been taught that to receive what you want, you must chase it, control it, force it into existence through sheer willpower and relentless effort. You've been told that manifestation is about doing more, trying harder, holding on tighter. But what if everything you've learned about bringing your desires into reality has been precisely backward? What if the very act of pursuing what you want is the energetic signal that pushes it further away from you? What if the secret that ancient wisdom keepers understood and that quantum physics is now beginning to reveal is that true manifestation happens not when you grasp, but when you finally, courageously let go? For years, perhaps even decades, you have been operating under a belief system that was designed to exhaust you. You were told that if you wanted something badly enough, you had to work for it constantly, visualize it obsessively, affirm it repeatedly, and never, ever stop pushing toward it. The spiritual teachers, the manifestation gurus, the self-help books all seem to agree on one thing. You must stay focused, stay driven, stay in relentless pursuit of your dreams. And so you did. You created vision boards. You repeated affirmations until your voice grew hoarse. You visualized your desired reality so intensely that you could almost taste it, almost touch it, almost believe it was real. But then something strange happened, didn't it? The more you chased, the further away your desires seemed to drift. The more you tried to control the outcome, the more chaotic your life became. The harder you worked to manifest, the more depleted and discouraged you felt. This is not your failure. This is not evidence that you are broken, unworthy, or spiritually disconnected. This is simply the natural consequence of misunderstanding one of the most profound spiritual laws that governs our reality. The universe does not respond to desperation. It does not reward frantic energy or anxious pursuit. The field of infinite possibility that surrounds you, that breathes through you, that connects every atom of your being to the fabric of existence itself, operates on a frequency that most people have never been taught to access. It responds not to your words, not to your wishes, not to your mental gymnastics, but to your vibrational state. And here is the truth that will change everything. When you chase something, when you grip it tightly with fear and need, you are broadcasting a very specific signal into this field. You are saying, loud and clear, I do not have this. I am separate from this. I am lacking this. And the universe, in its perfect mirror-like intelligence, reflects that exact state back to you. More lack, more separation, more waiting. There is an ancient principle that has been whispered through mystery schools, hidden in sacred texts, and encoded in the teachings of mystics across every tradition. It is this: the external world is not separate from you. It is not something happening to you, but something happening through you as a direct reflection of the vibrational frequency you are holding within. Your reality is a mirror, and what it shows you is not random, not punitive, not arbitrary. It is precise. Every circumstance, every relationship, every financial situation, every health condition you experience is the outer manifestation of an inner state. This is not metaphor. This is not positive thinking, dressed up in spiritual language. This is the mechanics of how consciousness and matter interact. When you feel lack within yourself, when you carry the vibration of, I don't have enough, I'm not enough, I need more, the universe does not judge you for this. It simply matches your frequency. It brings you experiences that confirm what you already believe to be true. And so the cycle continues, endlessly, until you understand the game you've been playing. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change the reflection in the mirror without ever turning around to look at themselves. They try to fix their relationships without addressing the wounds they carry. They try to manifest money without healing their relationship with worth and abundance. They try to attract love without first becoming the embodiment of love within their own hearts. And the most tragic part of this misunderstanding is the belief that pursuing something with intensity, with focus, with relentless determination, will somehow force the universe to comply. But pursuit itself is rooted in a fundamental assumption of absence. When you are chasing something, you are operating from the belief that it is not here, that it is out there, somewhere beyond your reach, and that you must cross a distance to obtain it. Every action taken from this place no matter how disciplined or well-intentioned, is energetically coded with the frequency of separation. And separation cannot create union. Lack cannot create abundance. Fear cannot create safety. Here is where it becomes even more subtle, even more counterintuitive. Desire itself is not the problem. Wanting something is not wrong. The longing in your heart for love, for health, for financial freedom, for creative expression, for a life that feels aligned and meaningful, this longing is sacred. It is the voice of your soul calling you toward expansion. But there is a profound difference between desire and need. Desire says, I would love to experience this. Need says, I cannot be okay until I have this. Desire is open, spacious, alive with possibility. Need is tight, constricted, suffocating under the weight of its own desperation. And here is the paradox that most manifestation teachings completely miss. The more emotionally attached you are to an outcome, the more you energetically repel it. The more you need something to happen, the more you broadcast the frequency of, it's not here yet. And the universe, reading that signal, continues to deliver experiences that match it. Not here yet. Not here yet. Not here yet. This is why people who are desperate for love often find themselves in relationships that confirm their unworthiness. This is why those who are frantic about money continue to experience financial instability. This is why the more anxiously you check your phone, hoping for that call, that text, that sign, the longer the silence stretches, because anxiety is not a frequency of reception. It is a frequency of resistance. The universe does not respond to your urgency with speed. It responds to your certainty with manifestation. And certainty is quiet. Certainty does not need to check. Certainty does not need to control. Certainty simply knows, and in that knowing, it rests. Think about the last time you were waiting for something important, perhaps a job offer, a medical result, a response from someone you care about. Remember how you felt in those moments when you kept refreshing your email, checking your phone, replaying every possible scenario in your mind. Remember the tightness in your chest, the shallow breathing, the inability to focus on anything else. That state, that anxious, grasping, obsessive state, was not bringing your desired outcome closer. It was holding it at bay, because every time you checked, every time you worried, every time you thought, when will it happen, you were reinforcing the reality of its absence. You were living in the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and the gap became your home. The universe does not argue with where you choose to live. It simply furnishes the space. There is a word that has been misunderstood, distorted, and weaponized in spiritual communities for far too long. That word is detachment. When most people hear it, they imagine coldness, indifference, a numbing of desire, a shutting down of the heart. They think detachment means pretending you don't care, forcing yourself to be okay with outcomes that break you, or adopting a false sense of spiritual superiority that masks deep disappointment. But true detachment, the kind that holds real power, is none of these things. True detachment is not the absence of desire. It is the presence of trust. It is not giving up on what you want. It is giving up the need to control how and when it arrives. It is the profound inner shift from, I must make this happen, to I allow this to unfold. And in that allowing, in that surrender of the tight fist of control, something miraculous occurs. The energy that was locked in resistance, in forcing, in anxious monitoring, is suddenly freed. And that freed energy becomes the very channel through which your desire can flow into your reality. Detachment is vibrational intelligence. It is the ability to hold a vision, to feel the truth of what you desire, to know it is yours in the unseen realms of possibility, and then to release your grip on the timeline, the method, the specific form it must take. It is living as though you have already received, not because you are pretending or deluding yourself, but because somewhere deep within, beneath the noise of the thinking mind, you have touched the truth that in the quantum field, in the realm of pure potential, it already exists. You are not waiting for it to be, you are waiting for it to materialize. And materialization does not respond to force. It responds to alignment. When you are aligned, you are not checking, not chasing, not obsessing. You are simply living from the end, as the mystics say. You are embodying the feeling, the energy, the frequency of already having what you desire. And from that place, your actions become effortless, inspired, and magnetically attractive. There was a teacher, a man who understood the invisible architecture of reality in a way that few have, whose name was Neville Goddard. He spoke of a principle that has transformed countless lives, a principle so simple that the mind often dismisses it, yet so profound that those who truly grasp it find themselves living in an entirely different world. He called it assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not visualizing from a place of lack, not affirming from a place of doubt, but assuming, as a living, breathing state of being, that what you desire has already occurred, not as a mental trick, not as a technique you perform for 10 minutes before bed and then abandon, but as a state you inhabit, a state in which your body, your emotions, your nervous system, your energy field all align with the reality of having already received. This is not about pretending. This is about shifting identity. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not lying to yourself. You are recognizing a deeper truth. You are acknowledging that in the infinite field of possibility that surrounds you, the version of reality in which you already have what you desire exists right now. It is as real as the reality you are currently experiencing. The only difference is your attention, your belief, your vibrational alignment. And so the practice is not to beg, not to plead, not to desperately reach out into the void, hoping something will reach back. The practice is to rest in the knowing, to feel it so completely that your doubts begin to dissolve, to live from that place so consistently that your external world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match. And here is how you know, when you have truly detached, when you have truly stepped into this state of the wish fulfilled, your body tells you, because the body does not lie. When you are still operating from need, from lack, from desperate pursuit, your body holds tension, your shoulders are tight, your jaw is clenched, your breath is shallow, your stomach churns with anxiety. You feel a constant low-grade hum of stress running through your nervous system, a sense that you must stay vigilant, must keep checking, must not let go for even a moment, or everything will fall apart. This is the body in survival mode. This is the body preparing for threat. And when your body is in this state, it cannot be a channel for manifestation. It is closed. It is contracted. It is broadcasting fear into the field. But when you detach, when you truly release the outcome and trust the process, something shifts. The tension melts. The breath deepens. The shoulders drop. There is a softness that returns to your face, to your heart, to the way you move through the world. You feel lighter, not because you have given up, but because you have stopped carrying the weight of control. You feel more present, more at ease, more alive in the moment you are in, rather than constantly leaning forward into a future you are trying to force into being. And in this state of relaxation, of openness, of inner peace, you become magnetic, because peace is the frequency of having. Peace is what someone who already has what they want feels like, and the universe, reading that signal, begins to deliver the evidence. We live in a world that worships effort, a world that tells you, from the moment you can understand language, that the path to everything you want is paved with hard work, determination, and relentless pushing forward. You were taught that if you want something badly enough, you must sacrifice for it, suffer for it, prove yourself worthy of it through sheer force of will. And in many areas of life, this is true. If you want to build a skill, you practice. If you want to strengthen your body, you train. If you want to create something tangible in the physical world, you take action. But manifestation does not follow the same rules. In fact, when it comes to calling something into your reality from the field of infinite possibility, the rules are inverted. The more you try to control it, the more you block it. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. This is one of the most difficult truths for the human mind to accept, because it contradicts everything you have been conditioned to believe. Your mind says, if I want this, I must do more. I must think about it, plan for it more, work toward it more. And so you exhaust yourself in pursuit. You micromanage every detail. You obsess over every possible pathway. You try to predict every outcome, control every variable, ensure that nothing goes wrong. But what you don't realize is that this very energy of control is a frequency of distrust. It is saying to the universe, I don't believe you can handle this. I don't trust that this will come to me unless I force it. And the universe, which operates on laws far more elegant and intelligent than the limited logic of the human mind, does not respond well to force. It responds to flow. It responds to trust. It responds to the open hand, not the clenched fist. Imagine for a moment that you are holding water in your hands. If you cup your hands gently, openly, the water rests there, clear and still. But the moment you try to grip it, the moment you close your fingers tightly around it in fear that it will escape, it pours out between the cracks. The tighter you squeeze, the faster you lose it. This is the nature of manifestation. This is the nature of life itself. What you try to control, you repel. What you trust, you allow. And in that allowing, in that open-palmed receptivity, what is meant for you finds its way to you effortlessly. Or think of a seed planted in the earth. You water it, you give it sunlight, you tend to the soil, and then you wait. You trust the intelligence of nature to do what it knows how to do. But imagine if, in your anxiety, in your need to see results, you dug up the seed every single day to check if it was growing. You would destroy it. You would interrupt the very process you are trying to support. The seed needs darkness. It needs time. It needs to be left alone to do its work beneath the surface, unseen, unmonitored, unbothered by your doubt. And your desires are no different. They are seeds you have planted in the invisible realm. They are already growing. But every time you check, every time you worry, every time you try to dig them up to see if they are real yet, you disturb the process. Or consider a cake baking in the oven. You mix the ingredients with intention. You set the temperature. You place it inside and close the door, and then you leave it alone. Because you know that if you open the oven every few minutes to check on it, to poke it, to see if it's done yet, the temperature drops, the process is interrupted, and the cake never rises the way it should. Manifestation requires the same patience, the same trust, the same willingness to step back and let the unseen forces do their work. You have done your part by setting the intention, by aligning your energy, by planting the seed. Now your only job is to get out of the way. There is a space between the moment you set an intention and the moment it materializes in your physical, a space that most people misunderstand, fear, and ultimately sabotage. This is the interval, the invisible gap, the silence between the question and the answer. And in this space, something profound is occurring, even though you cannot see it, even though your senses give you no evidence, even though your mind screams at you that nothing is happening. In this space, your desire is being woven into form. Energetic patterns are aligning. Circumstances are shifting. People are being moved into position. Opportunities are being prepared. The entire universe is reorganizing itself to match the frequency you are holding. But because this work is happening in the unseen realms, in the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously, you have no proof. You have no tangible evidence. And this is where most people lose faith. This interval is not a punishment. It is not the universe testing your worthiness or withholding what you deserve. It is a natural, necessary phase of the manifestation process. Just as a seed must spend time in the dark soil before it breaks through into the light, just as a baby must grow in the hidden sanctuary of the womb before it emerges into the world, your desires must move through this gestation period. And during this time, the most important thing you can do is maintain your vibrational alignment. Because the moment you collapse back into doubt, into fear, into it's not working, it's never going to happen, you disrupt the entire process. You pull your energy back, you withdraw your belief, and the universe, reading that signal, pauses. It waits. It cannot deliver to you what you no longer energetically claim as yours. This is where the seeking destroys everything. This is where the constant checking, the obsessive monitoring, the need for external validation becomes your greatest obstacle. Every time you reach out into the world looking for a sign, looking for proof, looking for evidence that your manifestation is on its way, you are affirming its absence. You are saying, I don't have it yet. I'm still waiting. I'm still separate from it. And that frequency of waiting, of searching, of needing confirmation, reactivates the very vibration you are trying to move away from. You drop out of the state of the wish fulfilled and fall back into the state of lack. And in that moment, you reset the clock. You start the process over, not because the universe is cruel, but because the universe is precise. It can only give you what matches your current vibration. Think about how this plays out in your daily life. You set an intention for something you deeply desire. Maybe it's a new relationship, a job opportunity, financial breakthrough, healing in your body. In the beginning, you feel hopeful, you feel aligned, you trust. But then a day passes, then a week, then a month, and nothing seems to be changing. Your external reality looks exactly the same. And so the doubt creeps in. You start questioning, you start searching, you check your bank account obsessively, even though you know no deposit has arrived. You refresh your email constantly, even though you know no message is waiting. You analyze every conversation, every interaction, every tiny detail, desperately trying to find evidence that something is shifting. And with every search, with every anxious check, you are energetically screaming into the void. Where is it? Why isn't it here yet? Did I do something wrong? And the universe hears that. Not your words, your frequency. But here is the truth that will set you free. When you are truly aligned, when you have genuinely stepped into the state of detachment and trust, you stop looking for signs. Or rather, you stop needing them. You become so anchored in your inner knowing that the external world's confirmation becomes irrelevant. And ironically, this is precisely when the signs begin to appear. Small synchronicities, unlikely conversations, strangers who say exactly what you needed to hear, repeating numbers, dreams that feel prophetic, opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. These are not random. These are breadcrumbs. These are the universe's way of saying, I hear you. I'm working on it. Stay the course. But they are not loud. They are not dramatic. They are whispers. And if you are frantically searching, desperately grasping, anxiously demanding, you will miss them entirely. The people who successfully manifest are not the ones who force, who control, who obsess. They are the ones who set their intention clearly, feel it deeply, and then let it go with trust. They are the ones who can go about their lives, fully present, fully engaged, fully at peace, even in the absence of evidence. They don't need to know when. They don't need to know how. They simply know that it is done. And in that quiet, unshakable certainty, they become a magnet, because certainty is the frequency of manifestation. Doubt is the frequency of delay. And the universe does not rush. It does not panic. It simply responds to whatever frequency you are broadcasting most consistently. Most people believe that the sign of successful manifestation is the arrival of the thing itself, the money in the bank account, the relationship that begins, the job offer that comes through, the diagnosis that changes. And yes, these are the final physical expressions of what you have called into being. But they are not the true indicator. They are not the moment when you know with absolute certainty that your manifestation has already occurred. The real sign, the one that almost everyone overlooks, happens much earlier. It happens in the quiet of your own heart, in the depths of your own being, long before the external world catches up. The real sign is peace. Deep, unshakable, unexplainable peace. Peace that exists without evidence. Peace that remains steady even when nothing around you has changed. Peace that does not depend on outcomes, timelines, or external validation. This peace is not something you create. It is something that arises naturally when you have truly aligned with your desire in the unseen realms. When you reach this state, something inside you shifts in a way that is unmistakable. You stop worrying, not because you are forcing yourself to be positive, not because you are suppressing your fears, but because the worry simply dissolves. It no longer makes sense. It no longer has a place to live inside you. You stop wondering when it will happen, because the question itself feels irrelevant. You stop checking for signs, because you no longer need confirmation. You stop talking about it obsessively, because there is nothing left to figure out, nothing left to convince yourself of, nothing left to prove. You simply know. And that knowing is so quiet, so still, so complete, that it asks for nothing. It is the knowing of someone who has already received. It is the peace of someone who is no longer waiting. There is a profound moment in the manifestation journey that marks the turning point, the moment when everything begins to accelerate, even though it may not look like it on the surface. It is the moment when you stop counting, you stop marking time, you stop obsessing over how many days it has been since you set your intention, how many weeks have passed without visible change, how many months you have been holding this vision. The calendar, which once felt like a prison, measuring your impatience and your doubt, suddenly loses its power over you. Time stops being your enemy. It stops being something you are racing against. And in that release, in that surrender of your need to control the timeline, you step fully into the present moment. You stop living in the future you are trying to create and start living in the now you are in. And paradoxically, this is when the future you desire begins to collapse into your present reality. Because here is what most people do not understand. When you are obsessed with when something will happen, you are energetically stating that it is not here now. You are affirming separation. You are reinforcing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And the universe, in its infinite intelligence, honors that gap. It keeps you exactly where you are placing your focus, in the waiting. But when you stop asking when you stop needing to know the timeline, when you become so absorbed in the fullness of your present life that the future becomes irrelevant, you are no longer waiting. You are living. And living, truly living, is the frequency of having. It is the frequency of wholeness. It is the frequency that says, I am already complete. I am already abundant. I am already everything I need to be. And from that place, the manifestation has no choice but to arrive. This does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become indifferent to your desires. It means you stop suffering over them. You stop aching for them. You stop feeling incomplete without them. And in that completion, in that inner fullness, you become the perfect vessel for receiving, because you can only receive what you already are. You can only attract what you already embody. And when you embody peace, when you embody trust, when you embody the energy of already having, the physical manifestation is simply the inevitable reflection of that inner state. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is not the universe rewarding you for being good enough. It is simply the natural consequence of vibrational alignment. What you are within, you experience without. What you hold in your energy field, you draw into your reality. And when you hold peace, you draw peace. When you hold abundance, you draw abundance. When you hold certainty, you draw confirmation. There are moments in your day when the doubt tries to creep back in, when the mind, trained for so long in worry and control, begins to whisper its old stories. What if it doesn't happen? What if I'm doing this wrong? What if I'm not worthy? What if it's taking too long? These thoughts are not the enemy. They are simply old patterns, old programming trying to reassert itself. And in these moments, you do not need to fight them. You do not need to wrestle with them or try to convince yourself they are wrong. You simply need to return to your center. You need to anchor yourself back into the truth you have already claimed. And one of the most powerful ways to do this is through a simple, silent affirmation that you repeat to yourself, not as a desperate plea, not as a hopeful wish, but as a statement of fact. 3 words. It is mine. Not, it will be mine. Not, I hope it becomes mine. But it is mine. Present tense. Already done. Already claimed. Already received in the unseen realms where all things exist or they materialize. You say this to yourself in the quiet moment, in the morning when you wake, in the evening before you sleep, when you feel the anxiety rise, when you catch yourself reaching for your phone to check for signs, when the doubt begins to cloud you. You say it silently, firmly, lovingly. It is mine. And you do not look for external confirmation. You do not need the world to agree with you. You are not trying to convince anyone, not even yourself. You are simply stating what you know to be true in the only place that matters, within your own consciousness. Because consciousness is the creator. Consciousness is the field from which all things emerge. And what you claim in consciousness, you will eventually experience in form. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself during the interval, during the space between planting the seed and seeing the harvest, is the gift of presence. The gift of allowing your attention to rest somewhere other than the object of your desire. Not because you are abandoning it, not because you are giving up, but because you understand that the more you focus on its absence, the longer that absence persists. Your attention is your most powerful creative tool. Where you place it, energy flows. And where energy flows, reality forms. So if you are constantly placing your attention on the fact that your desire has not yet arrived, if you are obsessing over the empty space where it should be, you are feeding that emptiness. You are giving it life. You are making it more real than the manifestation itself. And so, you must learn to redirect. You must learn to consciously, gently, lovingly guide your attention back to the present moment, back to the life you are living right now, back to the simple, sacred acts that fill your days. You cook a meal with full presence, tasting every flavor, feeling the warmth of the stove, the texture of the ingredients in your hands. You walk outside and notice the sky, the way the light falls, the sound of leaves moving in the wind. You play music, you touch an instrument, you create something with your hands. You tend to plants, watching them grow, trusting their process as a mirror of your own. You spend time with people who nourish you, laughing, connecting, being fully here with them instead of half present, half lost in your longing. These are not distractions. These are not ways to avoid your desire. These are ways to rest your energy field, to stop depleting yourself with constant searching, to allow the universe to do its work without your interference. And then there is the practice that bridges the inner world and the outer, the practice that trains your entire being, your mind, your emotions, your body, your energy, to live in the reality you are calling forth before it has arrived. This is the practice of writing from the end, not writing about what you want, not listing your desires, not pleading with the universe to grant your wishes, but writing as though you are already living the life you have envisioned. Writing as though it is today, right now, and everything you have longed for has already materialized. You describe your day, you describe how you feel, you describe the conversations you have, the spaces you move through, the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind. You write in present tense, in vivid detail, with all the emotions and textures and richness of lived experience. This is not fantasy. This is not daydreaming. This is a vibrational practice. Because when you write this way, when you immerse yourself fully in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your body does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Your nervous system responds, your heart rate changes, your biochemistry shifts. You begin to produce the same emotional and energetic frequency as someone who is actually living that reality. And your energy field, now broadcasting that frequency, begins to attract the circumstances, the people, the opportunities that match it. You are not pretending. You are not lying to yourself. You are rehearsing. You are training your entire system to recognize and embody the state you are calling into being. And the more consistently you practice this, the more natural it becomes, the more your external reality has no choice but to conform to the internal state you are holding. So here we are, at the end of this journey together, and yet perhaps at the beginning of something far more profound for you, because everything shared here is not just information. It is not just another set of concepts to file away in your mind alongside all the other spiritual teachings you encountered. This is an invitation to step out of the exhausting cycle of chasing, forcing, controlling, and desperately grasping at the life you want to live. An invitation to recognize that the power you have been seeking outside of yourself, in techniques, in gurus, in the perfect combination of words or rituals, has been within you all along. Not in your ability to manipulate reality, not in your capacity to bend the universe to your will, but in your willingness to surrender, to trust, to let go. The universe is not your adversary. It is not withholding from you. It is not testing you to see if you are worthy enough, patient enough, faithful enough. The universe is a field of infinite intelligence, a living consciousness that is always responding to you, always reflecting back to you the exact frequency you are broadcasting. And if you have been struggling, if you have been waiting, if you have been feeling like your desires are just beyond your reach, it is not because you are doing something wrong. It is not because you are broken or undeserving. It is simply because you have been operating from a frequency of need, of lack, of separation. And that frequency, no matter how much effort you pour into it, cannot create the reality you are longing for. Only wholeness can create wholeness. Only peace can create peace. Only the energy of already having can bring you what you desire. And so the shift is simple, though not always easy. You stop chasing. You stop checking. You stop living in the future you are trying to force into existence. You plant the seed of your desire with clarity and intention, and then you trust. You trust the unseen forces that are always working on your behalf. You trust the perfect timing that you cannot see from where you are standing. You trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by, will not be given to someone else, will not disappear simply because you are not obsessively monitoring its arrival. And in that trust, in that release, you find something you may not have expected. You find peace, not the peace of having given up, but the peace of having let go, the peace of knowing that you are already whole, already abundant, already connected to the infinite source of all that is. And from that place, everything you have ever wanted begins to flow toward you, effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. What if the thing you have been longing for, the relationship, the healing, the opportunity, the transformation, is already on its way to you right now? What if it is moving through the invisible realms, gathering momentum, aligning circumstances, preparing to emerge into your physical reality at the exact perfect moment? What if the only thing standing between you and its arrival is your own resistance, your own need to control the timeline, your own inability to trust that it is already done? And what if in this very moment you could choose differently? You could choose to release the grip. You could choose to stop waiting and start living. You could choose to embody the frequency of already having, not as a trick or a technique, but as the truth of who you are. Because you are not separate from what you desire. You never were. You are the field. You are the consciousness. You are the creator. And everything you seek is simply seeking you in return, waiting for you to create the space, the openness, the stillness for it to land. If these words have touched something inside you, if you felt a recognition, a remembering, a quiet knowing that this is the truth you have been searching for, then I invite you to claim it, not just in your mind, not just as a passing thought, but as a declaration into the field. Go to the comments right now and write these 5 words. I receive in perfect timing, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a statement of truth, as an energetic signature that you are leaving in this space, a signal to the universe that you are ready, that you are open, that you are no longer resisting. And as you write those words, feel them. Let them move through your body. Let them settle into your heart. Let them become the frequency you carry with you long after you leave this video. And then, when you step away from this screen, when you return to your life, choose one of the practices we explored together. Just one. Not all of them at once. Not in some frantic attempt to do everything perfectly, but one simple practice that resonates with you. Perhaps it is the silent affirmation, repeating to yourself throughout the day, "It is mine." Perhaps it is the redirection of your attention, choosing to fully immerse yourself in the present moment instead of obsessing over the future. Perhaps it is the state journal, writing as though you are already living the reality you desire. Choose one. Commit to it. Not forever, not as some lifelong obligation, but just for today. And then tomorrow, do it again. And watch with quiet curiosity how your internal state begins to shift. Watch how the peace begins to settle. Watch how the signs begin to appear. Watch how the external world starts to rearrange itself in ways you could never have orchestrated through force alone. And if you know someone who is struggling right now, someone who is exhausted from chasing, someone who is losing faith because nothing seems to be working, someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Send it quietly, without explanation, without pressure. Let them discover it in their own time, in their own way. Because sometimes the most powerful gift you can give someone is not advice, not solutions, not your own interpretation of what they should do, but simply a reminder of the truth they have forgotten. A reminder that they are not broken, that they are not behind, that what they seek is already seeking them, and that the moment they stop running, the moment they stop forcing, the moment they finally let go, everything they have been longing for will find its way home. And if you want to continue this journey, if you want to keep exploring the space where ancient wisdom meets modern understanding, where science and spirituality converge, where the invisible mechanics of reality are revealed not as abstract theories but as practical, lived truths, then subscribe to this channel. Because this conversation is not ending here. This is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one thread in a vast tapestry of transformation. And there is so much more to explore together, so much more to remember, so much more to reclaim. The next video is already waiting for you, ready to meet you exactly where you are, ready to guide you deeper into the truth of who you are and what you are capable of creating. I will see you there.